Asa, let's go, Asa.
Hello everyone, welcome to Fundi Talks Education. My name is Pio Masugu and today we are talking about one of the most crucial topics, that is student funding. How do students secure funding for tertiary education, either being a traditional institution, a college or a private college? And in studio today we are joined by Rebecca Mongale, who's the lending business manager at Fundi. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, Spirit. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Please, can you tell us about your role at Fundi?
I'm a regional business manager looking after the region for Pretoria, Mpumalanga, as well as Limpopo.
Fundi is in a business of funding. Can you please take us through the type of funding that you offer to students?
Currently, our offerings are tuition fees, accommodation, textbooks, as well as educational devices. That means laptops and tablets. Yeah, those are the kind of offerings that we have for students.
With you being in the education space and funding for students, what other alternatives do students have if they want to apply for a tertiary institution?
Okay, in South Africa currently, students can explore scholarships, they can explore bursaries, as well as NSFAS, and also including us as our organization for Fundi, where we can also be able to assist them with funding.
Would you say with your engagement with students, and I'm assuming that now and then you are engaging with the students in different places, would you say they know where to find this information?
In most cases, it's not. No, it's not. It's not like that. I know we all assume that students are aware of the funding options that are out there. Hence, we always advise students to do more research. Talk to people, even in high school. Make sure that you engage with the teachers and the career exposed. Hence, we as Fundi, we always make sure that we are there to make sure that we engage a lot with students.
Now, with them not knowing, is it a matter of ignorance or is it a matter of not being able to access this information? What kind of platforms should they consider to find this kind of information?
I would Google. There's a whole lot of options. When you go onto Google, we are there, NSFAS is there, and all the other options are on Google. That's where you can be able to find all the information. And even on print, it's just that I know most students now, they're always on their phone, TikTok and all of that. That's where you can be able to get information about all these funding options.
I'm getting from you that from your interaction, students have the necessary devices and they have the platforms, and yet they are not using it to what it's intended for. So at what time of the year should they be looking out for these applications, to start the applications in general?
It's actually throughout the year, especially when you are in grade 11. That's when you should start preparing for when you finish matric, because we all know that the results, when you apply, you start using your grade 11 results. So when you're in grade 11, that's when you start making more research about how you can get funding, get more information of what documents will you need and so forth. And that's when you can start interacting with relevant people to be able to provide proper information to you, so that you don't do last minute things, to give you an opportunity to get access to funding if you need one.
Do we know what are the criteria for these different types of funding in terms of, your grades? You're in grade 11 and you've chosen the subject that you've chosen. How do you know what to look for when you're applying? So how do you interpret the criteria from the marks that you've got and to what some of these bursars or the government funding requires?
I think the first thing is, we all know that APA scores it's of vital importance, and you must make sure that you study very hard, work hard to make sure that you get a good APA score, which will always also make it very easier for you in choosing whatever career you want to go forward with. And also the institutions, as we know that the criteria differs according to institutions. It's either if you want to go to a university, a private colleges, the criteria differ. So most important thing, make sure you study hard and then make sure that you get good APS scores. And obviously, in the end, that will also qualify you either for a good bursary or even a scholarship.
You mentioned the different types of institutions that they can apply to study at. And am I correct in assuming that they are all offering, the important education that you need depending on your requirements as a person?
Definitely, yes. As it is in South Africa, we've got over 26 institutions. I'm not including the private colleges, of which it's one thing that it's so important to make sure that whatever course that you want to do, make sure that whichever institution or private college that you want to study with, they're accredited to offer you that kind of course or studies that you want to pursue.
Thank you. So I'm getting that the funding is open throughout the year, especially if you have to do the research. You also need to know what kind of career you want to take, and I'm thinking that it's taking you back to when you're still in high school choosing your subject.
Definitely.
Now you're going into funding. There's this thing called an APS that you need to calculate. Are there any guidelines that talks to what this APS is? Because there's someone who's hearing it for the first time and they're thinking, is it a subject? Is it something that I need to enroll for? Is there such information available for students to look out and to be able to see if they qualify for the funding that they are applying for?
Yes, definitely. The nice thing is every institution, they have a student advisors. That's where they can be able to explain it to you. For you to get to a certain APS score, this is how many marks you should have achieved. So all the information is there. And the nice thing about it is that every school now, they have career guidance days. They make sure that they do take their grade 11s there, and that's when you can get full information from all the student advisors for the institutions.
Taking it back to you, your role and the company you work for, do you normally attend these career days?
Yes, we do quite a lot, because we feel that it's very important that we engage with students, give them an opportunity to know that there is funding out there. And one of the things that Fundi has done is to make sure that we change people's lives and also giving them hope while they're still in grade 11, to say that yes, I do have an opportunity, regardless of my background. There's an opportunity that I can take, NSFAS and all of the funding options that are available to them.
I'm actually liking the conversation where you're mentioning backgrounds, because there's a student out there who's thinking, with how I grew up and where I am now, do I really have to study this hard and achieve these grades if there's no one who's going to pay for me? You've mentioned that there's bursaries as well and scholarships. So it's giving someone hope out there to say, I need to work hard to get this funding because they deserve it. If they're working hard, they deserve it.
True.
But you have to go through the process. You have to apply in time. You have to make sure you submit everything in time.
Yes.
It's not just about you deserving and not taking the action.
True.
Lastly, from us, please can you tell us about how to access your funding specifically? If someone is looking to apply with you, what is the criteria? What kind of people do you funding, and what is the process like?
Okay, thank you for that. Here at Fundi, what we require from a client, 90% of our clients are government employees. So what we require is you must be government employed, have ID, pay slip, obviously in place because you are employed, proof of registration, and we can take it from there. And you must not be under debt review. That's very important. That's when we can be able to see how we can assist you.
So I hear you mention work for government. Is that permanent employees or anyone who's a contractor with government entities and all that?
You must be permanently employed, but there is also an exception for contractors, because we know that in most government employees, some I would say like 70% are contractors, but then you find that they've got like 5 years contract. Those we are also able to accommodate.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rebecca from Fundi Lending, for joining us today with the conversation. And we're taking it back to you students. So the information is out there. There's Fundi, there's NSFAS, there's scholarships, there's bursaries that corporates and government are offering out there. The criteria is different with each and every one of it. So you have to look for it and check if these are some of the requirements or the courses that you are looking into applying for your tertiary institution. Don't leave it until it's too late. Please make sure that you take your career into the next level by using your data wisely, by researching, by making sure that you're stepping in the right direction. Challenge your peers also. This is good news. This is good information for you, and it was brought to you by Fundi Talks Education. We thank you so much, and we hope that you'll find this information useful. Share it with family and friends who are in the education space and looking for funding to check all the available sites from Google, from Fundi, NSFAS, and all of them. Thank you so much.
No more and be more.